Hello, welcome, Ceil.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for doing the podcast. This is the Profit Channel, and it's a holistic profit channel that looks not just at the financial profit, but the person that people need to be to become profitable in all areas of their life. And I just want
Good.
to introduce to you guys Ceil Stanford. Ceil is a powerhouse in the field of personal development. She has written books and co-authored books. She is a coach to internationally renowned big names such as Robert Kiyosaki, Blair Singer. In fact, let me just pull this up. This is a video I recently saw of Robert just a few weeks ago.
What do you do to be successful? But what do you also do to be sabotaging yourself? And I want to give credit to Ceil Stanford. Twice a year we go to this place called the Ranch.
It's an advanced coaching place that we go to study and work out our own crap, because we all have it.
So the last time we were out there, Ceil Stanford, who runs Advanced Coaching Leadership
Academy.
we studied success sabotage. And it's part of a thing called the ascension process.
She's also an entrepreneur, a mom, and a nana, and she has so many things going on, but she is a wealth of information when it comes to mindset and personal development, which is something I really highly value. And I think that in order to grow as an entrepreneur, to overcome obstacles, not just in business, but also in life, you really need personal development. And that's what Ceil's got so much of. So, Ceil, welcome to the Profit Channel. How are you going?
I'm doing great. And I thank you so much for inviting me to do this podcast. You're so fun to work with. So I'm looking forward to touching as many people in your audience as we can.
Well, I'm very grateful to be working with you, and yeah, really want to dig in and just get to know a bit more about you and behind the scenes, some of the ways that you think and some of the ways that people can improve themselves. But maybe you can give us a bit of an introduction on who you are and what you do.
Oh, okay. So let me just give you the short and skinny, if you will. So
Yeah.
I was born in Louisiana in the highest unemployment parish, and from what I'm told, the whole United States. So I got to get out of there in 1985 and moved to Dallas. And my dream and goal was to work for corporate America. Very different from an entrepreneur. And my mindset on that time was, my father worked three jobs just to make ends meet, and money was always stressful for him. Just stress, stress, stress. I was like, oh, I don't want that kind of life. So fortunately, I got a job with a couple of corporate in the jobs in the insurance industry. I picked something that was very safe that people would always need, which is insurance, employee benefits. And I did not have a college degree. I did not do well in school. So I always started at the bottom and then worked my way up to that high level position that I wanted. But during that process, I have always wanted to get better. So I found that my interest was in personal development. So I took a lot of courses as I was in my corporate job. And 3 days, this is for real, 3 days before my 40th birthday, I looked at my life and I just made this decision and intention that I am not going to live another year like the first 39 years of my life because I wasn't getting what I wanted. And I was also asking myself questions like, is this all there is? So, and I had reached the goals of account management, which is what I was going for. And that's when I found Alan Walter's work. I took a personal development course, my first personal development course. And what I learned was as I got better, everything else around me got better. My relationships got better. Something very strange to me happened when I got really serious about it and did some one on one consulting and coaching with one of the people that worked at the company in which I own now, as you know. Um, I didn't go in there to make more money. I just went in there to work on me. And, I always thought, well, it's about them, what they're doing. No, it's really about what's going on with you. And when you work on you, everything else changes because you really can't change what's going on out there. You can change the way you think about it.
Hmm.
So during that process, I mean, I ended up increasing my income by 30%. And then in 2004, Alan, the writer and founder of the courses that I teach, that my staff teach, and the sessions that I deliver and the methodology we use, he asked me to come and be his executive communicator. At that time, he was working with Robert Kiyosaki and Blair Singer. I never dreamed in 2009 that I would get to work directly with Blair and Robert. I was very fortunate they continued to work with me. So that's really how I got my start. And I hope that is short enough. I didn't lose you guys along the way. There's so much more to that story. But that's the main point.
Hmm. I guess, being the coach to some of the world's biggest financial thinkers, what do you think the mindset pattern is that you see in super successful people like them that struggling or mildly successful entrepreneurs almost never have?
It's funny you ask that because I was over in Mexico doing a luncheon with a bunch of VIPs, and they were all entrepreneurs and they were doing pretty well in their business. And they knew I knew Robert because they knew Robert. Some of them were investors in real estate, but they asked me, what does Robert Kiyosaki and Blair Singer have in common? And I'm like, well, they're really good friends. They've been good friends for 40 years, right? But if you look at them, they're very different on stage, so different. The personalities are different, but I mean, I thought about it, and within a minute, I'm like, oh, that's easy. So they're both in their 70s, but the thing that they have in common, and that I see with really successful people, is they're like lifelong learners. They don't stop working on themselves. They do personal development. They study. With those guys, they do sessions with me, but I'm not the only thing that they do. They also keep studying. They take courses because that's what it's about. So it's personal development. They continue to work on themselves. And I don't see that just with them, but I see it with some of the other people who are our clients that are very successful. They continue to work on themselves.
Yeah, and I guess a lot of people, once they've got their qualification or their trade or their degree and all that, they kind of tend to stop investing in themselves and they stick to what they got and they just do enough to keep up with their work. So, yeah, I do see a lot of people like Robert and Blair as well who constantly invest in their knowledge. They are very thirsty for knowledge and continuous learning. So, I guess what's the mindset shift that um, consistently turns a stressed, chaotic entrepreneur to a calm, well-balanced leader? Because leadership is so important. A lot of people who are in business struggle with that. That's one of the big five struggles that I find every single client of ours have because every time you become a better leader and your business grows, you need to be a better leader again. So, yeah, what's the big shift that consistently turns them into, calm, well-balanced leaders, if there is one?
Yeah, we just taught this last night. Literally, I was online talking about this very subject. So, the more clarity that you have in what you want, because that changes as a business owner, right? Maybe your target is to hit so many people, touch so many people, no matter what your product is. And then you've got your financial goals, right? Connected to the business and then connected to your own personal wealth and all of that. But the more clarity that you have as a business owner, and the more able you have that vision really, really defined of exactly what it is that you want and how you want that to be, So that's the first step. But also knowing that about your significant other, the employees or your team members that you work with. See, that gives you a really clear vision, so that what that does is that puts a lot of alignment in with yourself and everyone who touches you. Because you have to know that about your clients. If you want to deliver a great product, you better know what they want and have a clear vision of it, right, Mark? Because if you don't, you won't be able to deliver what they paid you to deliver. So if you can clearly define that, like so clear, there's nothing that you can't see in that vision, then that puts harmony in
Mhm.
with yourself and with your team and with your significant other and with your kids. You're going to feel more at ease versus stress. You're going to feel more in control, because there's some things we can control and some things we cannot. But when you have that, you're going to also be more organized. It's going to position you to be well balanced. So that's what I see is key to get everything in alignment. Because if it's not in alignment, there's going to be this thing over here that's tying up your attention. It won't be as much harmony. So that's the biggest thing that I see. Alignment is so important.
Yeah, I guess anytime someone is misaligned, it's very uncomfortable. So
Yeah.
just going back to, high profile people like Robert again, what are they like to coach? Are they pretty easy, or are they very demanding? Is there something that you say to him that you would also say to someone who's still in the middle of their journey or in the earlier stages of their journey? It doesn't matter the size or years that you've been in business.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about your question. So your first part of your question is, what's it like to coach him? It's funny, because the same applies with Robert as it does anyone like yourself or anyone. Those guys are in some ways really easy to coach, and you know why? Because they want to know, they want to get better, they're interested in personal development, so they're not fighting you
Mhm.
on getting knowledge and learning and maybe looking at a different perspective. They're not fighting you. They're not there because someone told them you need to go do this. You know what I mean? They're there on their own determination. So that's the first thing.
Mhm.
So that's always very helpful. The other thing is, because I coach a lot of people under 10 million. Oh my goodness. But I mean, that million mark is quite easy for some of the people that I coach. They're climbing, they're over that. There's six abilities, and I find this so helpful. There are six abilities that a person should have. If you want to create wealth, there are six abilities that you should have really, really working with you, like really, really being on top of your game if you want to create wealth. And that is one, having the ability to investigate, you know, before you make a decision. Also, being able to have the ability to produce, because that's what you get paid to do. Also, having the ability to invest, because making money is not some pie in the sky formula. It's an ability. And what do we know about abilities? Everybody can get the ability. You just need the right knowledge to get it. So if I saw someone wanting to improve in the financial area, and Blair's done this, and I think Robert has done this particular profile, I would suggest I love this. Entrepreneurs are uh, they're like so keen on doing this is the financial profile. It looks like this because think about this like a stoplight. Here you're stopped, not getting what you want. Here you're kind of cautious, but when you're in the green, you're accomplishing what you want. So if you're wanting to create wealth in your green zone, then you should be creating wealth. So what I would do is I would say, hey, complete that personal zone profile. that tells me and lets me see, are those strengths being used to the best of your ability? And if not, there's a reason why. So I ask you questions. We uncover that so you can move and get unstuck.
Hmm. You talked about the green zone there, just digging into this a little bit more. And you also mentioned gold zone. Is that the one in the middle or is that different?
So the goal zone sets above all of this. It's not on this chart.
Okay, so
And the
that's
goal
yellow.
zone is, yeah, yellow's cautious. Just like when you go through a yellow traffic light, what do?
Yeah.
I typically slow down and make sure that there's not a cop there going to write me a ticket because it
Yeah.
turns red when I go through it.
Hmm.
You know, you don't want to get out of your box. It's like comfort zone. And so
Yeah.
if you don't want to get out of your box, you're not going to be able to move the needle and achieve what you want to achieve.
So the gold zone is off the charts.
Yeah, it's like outside time and space. Uh, it's just, like magic happens. It seems magical, but being able to be in the gold zone, there's a lot of knowingness, and it's basically you being able to take your knowledge and apply it and just know. You know how when you don't have to think about something, you just know
Hmm.
that positions you. So, and most people don't understand that. They overlook like all those innate skills and abilities that they've already accomplished or that they have. And most people don't understand how they are there, but they don't understand how did I get there? What did I do? Because I want to live there. I don't want to be back down in this red.
Yeah. Well, speaking of people who may not know that, in your experience, are there any beliefs that are most limiting for people, like a particular belief that really limits people without them realizing it?
I can't say there's one belief. When I look at that, I think about, because I go back to the financial profile. This particular profile, by the way, guys, it's 100 questions that you answer yes, no, or maybe. But when I think about what stops a person, the first thing I want to know is how was the first 18 years of your life?
Hmm.
What was the environment like? What were your parents or whoever raised you, a grandmother, an aunt, uncle, maybe someone else, but what was it like living with that person? What was their mindset about money? I mean,
Hmm.
one of my things that my father said the first 18 years of my life, because you typically don't get out of the home until you finish school, right? Most people are 18, was you think money grows on trees. I mean, that was pretty negative, and it was said in that mood level, if you will. And then the other thing that I observed about him, I know he got offered a job that was 30 miles from where we live. Mark, that's like going that's like, like really far. I mean, 30, 30 miles is nothing, right? But when you live in the city, but he didn't take the job and it's just a lot of fear. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, get us off the farm, take that job. So a lot of very, very um, beliefs that don't serve you came out of the environment and the people that raised you. So when you start to reach out and create your future, a lot of those beliefs are there kind of hidden, or maybe you're not aware of it and they're still playing.
Hmm.
But when you locate the source of where they came from, that separates you from it. And then you can choose, well, I don't think that belief serves me. That's their belief, not mine. Not to
Hmm.
make them wrong, because obviously they're a product of how they were raised. But a lot of those beliefs just don't serve you and they're not yours. So inspect the first 18 years of your life. One day I was teaching, this was back when Alan was alive, and he said, I want you to go over there this morning and ask all the students, what were your parents' viewpoints on money and on wealth? So that's what I did. They found a lot of negative beliefs, viewpoints, thoughts about money that, wow, they were still operating on now that really didn't belong to them.
Yeah, I've seen Tony Robbins go back whenever he was I guess you could say coaching someone. been to a number of his events, and when he was coaching someone, he would always go back to their childhood, and typically that's where he'd find the blockages, which is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so interesting that you say that. And you see Blair Singer do that all the time.
Hmm.
He'll be teaching on stage and then somebody will stand up and ask a question. He basically will start to coach them and then kind of unravel the whole thing. It always typically goes back somewhere in the past that's still, happening right now in present time. And that the person is like, oh my gosh, that's why I can't take the right next step.
Mm, okay. And I guess you see people, going back through that whole process when they go back to their childhood. You see people, I guess, at their most honest or vulnerable state. Um, what do you think the hidden fear is behind most bad business or life decisions?
On the So basically, this is simple. I mean, I see a lot of stuff on the internet about this. It's somewhere common. When I first started studying Alan's work, I would hear him say, most people fear their own power.
Mm,
And I'm like,
okay.
oh, okay. Fear their own power because they don't want to, I think at the heart of any human being, at their heart, when they're being themselves, regardless of who they are, they don't really want to hurt another. They just don't. But the way that will manifest, you're gonna relate to this. Anybody that watches sports or maybe has a favorite movie star or rock and roll star or a favorite musician will see this. So the way that shows up is you start to get really, really successful, right? Really successful. And then a lot of times the person will find themselves in the wrong relationship or they have the wrong business partner, or maybe they pick the wrong real estate location to invest in. How does it show up? Well, it shows up in the numbers because if you get the wrong business partner, that's going to affect that environment and affect the team, cause the owner, the business owner, so much stress, you know what I mean? And just all of those problems that come with it. And it ends up tying up your energy. So that is a form of sabotage, if you will. And so what's behind that is not being able to have that level of success because the fears can trigger at that level. If you look at, I've asked people before, people that are up there starting to be successful, and like, what's likely to happen if you were to be really, really successful? Sometimes they're like that. I'll go off and do something that ruins my relationship with my wife. Or their weird fear, not really weird fears, but fears will start to come up. And so, why do we get that opinion? Well, it goes back to fear. But if you look at some of the look at some of the great guys that are great in sports, whether it's a rugby player, a football player, a basketball, at the top of his game. And then you read about something in the newspaper, on the front page of the newspaper, or all over the internet that they've done, like maybe wrecked the car because they were drinking, or got into a gambling thing, or got involved in some kind of sex thing that now the whole world knows. What's that do? It taints a reputation. So those, and it happens with musicians too, or affairs, or just that kind of behavior. Well, that's sabotage, right?
Hmm.
And they don't want to do that.
So you think
So
they fear
fear,
their own power?
yeah.
Can you just unravel that a little bit more? How do they fear their own power that then leads to the self-sabotage?
So I want to go back to someone I spoke to 10 years ago. He'd done quite a lot of work with Alan's work, some courses, and he loved it. And he had some one-on-one consulting. And it just was like, gosh, what's stopping this guy? You know what I mean? Because I was sitting down there with him. So I just said, so what's likely to happen if you were to operate at this level of success, get what you want, manifesting, being really successful, and just kind of named off a whole bunch of positives that he'd have. And he was afraid that I don't know, that he would have infidelity or do something that would destroy his family. Well, why would you be afraid of that? Well, we've seen a lot of that over the internet. Don't you agree? So
Yeah, so
that's
it's like a is
misusing
it
his
like a fear
power.
of fear of success?
Yeah, fear of
Mhm.
success. And on the negative side of that, because when you really turn on the positive, what happens? Well, sometimes we go off and do stupid things. So that would be fear of our own power and misusing it.
Mm. Yeah, well, I actually had very similar, maybe back in 2011 when I
Did
was
you?
in the early stages. I had the double whammy of fear of failure and fear of success both together.
Oh
And
my. So
until I
like
recognized it, then, I could then deal with it. But the way I kind of see it, the fear of failure stops you from doing things, and then the fear of
yeah.
success stops you from finishing things because you're afraid of what might happen. So that's my
Yeah.
simple view, and I see it all the time. Like there are people who just won't give it a shot because they fear what other people think. What if it doesn't go well? And some people are afraid of actually going through the finish line because they're afraid of what people are going to think of them too when they're successful. Are they going to lose family? Are they going to lose friends? And yeah, it's and when you have both, you have a lot more to work through. But I must say that having worked through that over, it probably took about 2 years plus of working through it. When you don't have that, it's just so free. Like you can just really feel free and let things come as they come, like opportunities, and you can try things without caring if it works or it doesn't, and it doesn't really matter what people say. So yeah, that's a very interesting way that you put it, fearing their own power. Um, so yeah, like anything else that you'd like to add to that?
Well,
I don't want to
I'm
take your
so glad you.
stage, so
No, no, that was so good. I'm so glad you added that. That's so helpful. What you do is you take off the restraints off yourself,
hmm.
and you're no longer worried about people pleasing and getting the approval of others. Yes, we have to work with others. And yes, we want to be kind and we want to be cordial and we want to be just very, very, very positive. But when you start having to please everyone and being a people pleaser, you're not able to be your true self because everything is guided by those restraints, if you will. When you were talking, I thought, oh my gosh. So so this is a little test I ran on myself. I was looking at buying a new SUV, and I thought, what's my dream car? Because I had driven the Range Rover, I had driven the Mercedes, and I think I drove the BMW. And so I hadn't bought it yet, but I thought, oh, I really like the Mercedes. And not the big one, just I like the medium. And so I asked myself, is there anywhere you couldn't drive that, Ceil, because you'd be afraid of someone looking at you saying, who does she think she is? I mean, because that's a mindset in this small town that I grew up in. And I was like, oh my gosh, there were still people to this day that I thought, well, if I had to drive where those people are, I would just leave my Mercedes at home. I'd rent a car. And I was like, oh, I'm still in that. Do you know what I'm saying? Still
But
worried about.
it does happen though, because when
Yes.
some people will see you there, and then I mean, it's happened to me where people see you have something different or better, and they went from being your friend, very warm, comfortable, everything, to someone who just doesn't talk to you. Just because
Yeah.
they saw you driving that car or
I
having that
know.
thing, like instantly, and nothing else has changed. Like there are people like that. So
Yeah.
or people seeing your business grow while maybe theirs doesn't grow as fast. And the thing that I heard a phrase, and I like to kind of think of it this way. people like to see you succeed, just not more than them.
Yep, it can be very threatening.
Hmm.
Very, very threatening. You know, for some people, if I detect that, like if someone's close to me or a client that's close to me, because I have detected it before, I try not to I don't react to it really. I
Mhm.
just find out what it is that they like that I've got, or like that I'm doing, or, or something I have. And if I'm lucky enough to get that from them and them share that with me, and then I tell them how I got it. So that's what they really want. You know what I mean? Just tell them how you got it. What steps did you take to get that? And they'll be your best friend forever. That's all they want to know, because they're stuck, right? Because if they had the knowledge, they go get it. So,
I've just resorted to the easy way. I just delete them as a friend. Uh,
that's a
so
plan.
what's like, I guess, if you could say, hey, look, if you were to have a magic wand and you could give someone a mindset upgrade, and you could only give them one mindset upgrade, what would be the first priority you would upgrade someone with, and why? What kind of mindset upgrade would you just magically go bang? Now, I wish you have this upgrade. Now you've got it.
So I would find out, how do you feel about getting better? I get their mind, because they're going to tell me their mindset. How do you feel about getting better? How do you feel about personal growth? Or personal development? Because personal development, all it is you're developing the person.
Hmm.
So if I could change anyone's mindset, if they could open their mindset and realize that life is all about learning, and to be open to that, and don't stop just because you get to the golden magic zone, as we were talking about earlier. Continue the growth, because it is a process, and be open to it. It's continuous growth. It's not just a course and it ends in 8 days.
Hmm. Yeah.
Robert and Blair are both in their 70s. So they're
Yeah, I think
still,
I read Robert's book more than 20 years ago. I think it would have been, around probably 22, 23 years ago. And he's doing all sorts of different stuff all the time. He's going on the internet,
oh,
going on social media, he's
yeah,
doing all sorts of stuff. Like he's continued to evolve the whole entire time.
always. So I love the word you said, evolve, continue to evolve. When Alan passed, because right before Alan passed, his goal was to have this body of work complete. In other words, it's complete. There's not anything that you couldn't help a person with that was bothering them, because he's got the processes, he's got the formulas, and that you couldn't help get better. So, but when he passed, he said, evolve it, evolve, keep evolving. That was his instruction. Keep evolving. You evolve the work now. So
Wow.
that's what I would tell people. Don't stop growing.
Hmm.
Keep evolving. It's not an 8 day course. It's not a weekend course.
Yeah, you got to carry it for life. And when, like,
Yeah,
because you're coaching leaders who coach other leaders, apart from the continuous learning, is there anything else that surprises you about their mindset that most people would never expect?
probably, if you came from where I came. But I had no mindset of the way rich people lived or the way they were. So I had a lot of fear. Typically, what you don't know anything about
Hmm.
is sadly the way this is, but typically there's fear there. Why? Because you don't know anything about it. So I knew that I wanted to work with wealthy people. And this is before I came to work with Alan, but I was learning how to do what I do now. But I had a lot of fear around, well, how do they act? How do they behave? Are they rude? Are they arrogant? Because I never knew any wealthy people before. And the yeah, I just didn't know any. So in 2002, I was here on a course, and Robert and Kim came, and they were taking a course. And so I was up here on a Saturday and I sit down with Robert as a student and was working on the course with him. I was just like starstruck, okay? So starstruck. And then we all ate dinner together. And I will never ever forget this. I thought, oh my gosh, he's just like a person like you and me. They have feelings, they're kind, they're considerate. I mean, it was cold because we needed more firewood for the fireplace. And so one of the staff members went out, got the tractor because there was a pile of firewood over there on the property. Robert went outside and helped him load, volunteered and helped him load the firewood and put it in the bucket on the tractor, and they brought it up, and I just thought, oh my God, because he could pay somebody to do, you know what I mean? I mean, that was because that's, because he's wealthy. So the biggest thing that impressed me is like, I don't have anything to be scared of. They're just wealthy. They have more money than me. They're rich. You know what I mean? So they're people. And
Mm.
then one of the things that one of the coaches had me do to help me get over and get comfortable around working with wealthy people, I had to pick one of the richest hotels in Dallas. He said, I want you to go and sit in the lobby for an hour. You have to know, Mark, I was so embarrassed. I thought people are going to ask me, here comes that approval stuff. What are you doing in the lobby? Like the concierge. So I sit there. There's business people coming in and out. I mean, like, this was back in the probably 2000,
Mhm.
like 500 a night. I mean, that's pretty, I think, pretty high, for business or whatever back then.
Mhm.
And just observe. And what I learned was they're just like us. They're just people. They've just succeeded in the financial area. So that's my biggest thing that I learned.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, that's it's definitely I share that observation because I've talked to people of all different levels, from startups to people in still in school, and billionaires, and people who involved in high leadership positions, and yeah, they are pretty much normal, and they're just like people with more zeros in their bank account, but they also have more knowledge, typically more knowledge. But I find that the ones that I've met anyway, they're pretty humble, and they're uh, pretty genuine, I'd say. I've been perhaps lucky in the ones that I've met are not um, crazy and condescending. They're quite humble, and they're they're quite um, yeah, they're really down to earth. The ones that I know anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah. Uh,
down to
and
earth.
and so, like, I guess, let's say someone is afraid to do something, and they might feel stuck, or even maybe, like you said before, alignment. Maybe they feel a bit lost. How do you, is there a fast way that you can get someone to
Mm.
make a shift from, feeling stuck or feeling lost to being in control again? Or maybe control
Yeah,
for the first time?
yeah. There's a very fast way. It's the first step that I took, and we're still doing the first step the same way because it's, I don't know, tried, tested for over 50 years with Allen, and it works. So it's what we call the personal zones profile. And it looks just like this, but it basically identifies, you answer 100 questions on each form, yes, no, or maybe. And it gives you a picture of who you're being, if you will, and then the skills connected to this so that you can see what you're actually getting in life is based on the first thing is who you're being. Okay. And if any area, because there are 12 attributes that a person, if it's very, very much in the zone, they should not be stuck. Now, they may be wanting to expand, like a lot of entrepreneurs, they've hit that 3 million, but they want to go to five, and they've got that bigger jump. I kind of see that all the time. but they're hanging out at the 3 or they're hanging out at the 5 and they're trying to get up and they don't know how to expand. So basically, when they fill out the questionnaire again that looks like this, they spend 2 hours with me and I go over each column and ask them questions. And if their strengths and abilities is not being used to their full potential, it will show it on that chart
Hmm.
and they'll
It's
find out
like an
why.
audit, like a personal audit of some.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. If they're low in one column, maybe they're all green. It may come down to they need more knowledge or they need to connect up to more influential comm lines. But that person's own profile, an example, I took that at age 40, went in, looked at, because it shows up like just like a stock going up, it dipped, going way up, it dipped, or maybe just straight line. So it will show you exactly where you are in each column. And those
Yeah.
abilities were discovered by Alan working with a whole bunch of stockbrokers.
Yeah.
And they were so low, they didn't even know which way up was. So he went in and kind of taught them basic communication skills. And then he basically did a study of people going all the way back to Socrates and Aristotle and Plato, Michelangelo, all the famous painters of those years, people who had levels of mastery like Thomas
Mm.
Edison and Henry Ford and Alexander Graham Bell. And he said, okay, were they born smart? Or do they do certain things? Do they all do certain things that if he could pinpoint it, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just get those key abilities. And that's what's on that chart.
Yeah.
And I have never met anyone, Mark, that hasn't done just that step and spent a couple of hours to see what's working really well and something that's not as high, that's like really stopping them, that's not been able to move forward. I just haven't met them. Even if they never do anything else with us, they move.
Yeah. I guess I'm glad I asked that question because I'm asking you podcasty type of questions and what's the single fastest thing and what's the biggest thing. But
Yeah,
the way we operate as well, when we look at a business, we first
yeah,
determine where it's at and then we determine
yeah,
where it's blocked. So we have, I guess, a very similar process to you to figure out because there is no one answer. And, I'm asking you those questions just for, if who knows, maybe there is something that you do that does unlock things. But yeah, I really am a big believer in doing audits. It's something that, like, say for example, if we're acquiring a business, what's the first thing we do? We do a due diligence, we do an
yeah,
audit, and we look at where we can improve the business. If we can't improve the business, then we don't look at getting into it. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, I'm glad you did say that because there's no magic pill. There's no one answer. So that gives me
It's not a
uh,
cookie cutter, right?
yeah, no cookie
It's not
cutter.
a
And
cookie cut. I mean, you're doing the same process because this shows me where they're at. And then I
yeah.
know, and they tell me where they want to go and
Can we
find
put
the
the link?
stop.
Can we put that link and so
Yes.
if people want to take it, they can jump on and click the link.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
So it's www.a is in apple, C is in cat, L is in love, C is in cat, .us, like United States. And when you go to that link, you go up to the right at the top and you'll click on profiles and you'll do the one that says life and skills. And there's a separate one with financial. If you want to do that, you can do that too. A lot of entrepreneurs, they will start off with financial because that's where their interest is, the wealth area.
Hmm.
But usually they do the wealth and they're like, oh, I want to know what's all connected to this. And so then they go over and do the life and skills. So it's really their choice what interests them, but you can get all of that there.
Hmm. Cool. Very nice. And I guess if someone had an outcome in mind, um, do you typically see, based on their inner game, um, what is going to determine the result of that outcome, depending on
Oh my
what they're,
gosh.
yeah,
No, go ahead.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
it's
that's a,
easy.
you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I think you know the answer already. So it's all about their energy. So if they've got really positive energy, they're typically going to win, even if they don't know something.
Hmm.
Why? Because they'll go find the answer. They'll go find the knowledge. They'll get the answer. They won't be stuck. If they've got negative energy, a lot of negative energy, they're not going to get what they want. So
Mm,
it's all going on internally here. And that profile I just talked about, that shows you that because it's based on their mindset.
mm.
Now, it's based on their attention. Where's their attention? If it's positive, that's their energy, that's their life force, right?
Yeah.
Then they can make their intentions arrive. But if it's and that directs their attention, so they'll end up winning.
Yeah, I like that that saying that goes winners winners find a solution for every problem, and losers find a problem for every solution. And
Oh
sometimes,
yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh,
sometimes I just like get stuck with a few questions, and someone's got a problem, and you give them a solution. They go, "Yeah, but this," and then you give them another solution, another option. They go, "Yeah, but that's not going to work for this reason." Then you, after you've given them a few, and I'm just like, "Okay, I know who I'm talking to,"
yeah,
and nothing's
yeah,
going to work.
yeah.
So yeah, so it's their energy, it's their mindset, it's their um, problem solving. So yeah, that's I guess yeah, it definitely we do a retreat in Bali actually, and the big theme of our retreat is find a way, because
Oh,
we give them a lot of simulated problems that they will experience in life and in business, and they have to find a way. And depending on the person's mindset and their hunger and their drive, some of the guys will find a way through the toughest challenges, and some people will
yeah.
stop at the easiest problems that are in front of them. So yeah, definitely can relate to that.
It
And
is draining, doesn't it drain you when
oh
you
yeah, it's
so
just like
someone in the green zone, they're going to find the answers, right? They're going to,
mhm,
you give them a challenge and they'll just come up with the most genius answers. Someone in the red, they're going to be stopping and opposing you, if you will. They're going to give you another challenge, right? And it was draining. You're like, okay, I see what's going on here.
yeah.
So, yeah.
You've sucked
Oh
the
my gosh.
creativity right out of me, and now you've
Oh,
turned it
yeah,
into
yeah,
problems.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess last question, getting close to the end. Uh, what mindset advice do entrepreneurs fight you on the most?
So,
But the moment they accept it, everything changes. Given that we're talking about someone who finds a problem for every solution. What mindset advice do you face the biggest wall, and then when it drops, you just make such huge progress?
so this is going to be simple. You probably won't believe my answer. And it can be tough to handle. But if you handle it with a person, their mindset shifts, it's fantastic. But I'm going to refer to the green zone. Green zone is you're getting what you want, you're winning, you're working very well with others, the business is running smoothly, there's an ease in life, you feel really, really big, meaning you can handle whatever comes to you. Just there's an ease to it. You find yourself being in the right place at the right time, kind of feeling lucky. So that's known as the zone.
Hmm.
So a lot of times when people and the business is going great, the significant other relationship is going great, nothing else could be greater.
Hmm.
So when they get into that place, a lot of times, because there's a lot of successful actions they did to get there, right?
Hmm.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot of times they don't even know all the little successful actions they did to get there. The thing that I find the most difficult is they will stop doing their personal development. They won't do any more consulting sessions, even though they did sessions. kept themselves in great headspace, great space, and they'll pull out, oh, I don't need to do anything anymore. I'm here, I've arrived. I mean, seriously, I had someone come to the ranch one time. This is back when Alan was living. And I think he did like almost 20 hours of consulting with us. And we always have him fill out their personal own profile. Everything was green. And he got what he wanted. And I told Alan, I said, how do you help somebody that's going to sit down with you and tell you, I don't need to do anything else? And this guy was a VP of a major company in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
It was all over. And Alan said, these are his words, you tell him that I said he needs to continue with his coaching and the things he's doing more than ever now, because he's really turned on his power. The game's really, really big and expanded. And the things you run into at that level are just as big. And the only reason he's not playing at that level every day and hasn't is because he ran into some things he didn't know how to handle. And they will, once they get there, they feel like they've
Yeah.
arrived, but they don't need to do anything
I,
else. So,
I see it all the time. I don't,
do
we're not in
you?
the mindset space. We're in the, I guess, the business growth space. And exactly the thing that made people gain success, like the coaching and the improvement and all that kind of stuff, when they're in a stage where they're really small, they don't know what to do, they haven't tasted success yet, they're always, tell me what to do, tell me what to do, and they'll be very
Yeah.
open. The moment they make, I'd say the magic number would be a seven figure, like personal income. Once they, not the business income, but once they take home seven figures or
Really?
close, all of a
Yes.
sudden it's, don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do. I know. And, the thing that got them to that stage, which was openness, learning, being coachable, they've suddenly disengaged, I guess. And I've seen a lot of these guys, probably they don't realize how much they're suffering because they've become, I guess, I don't know if it's hitting a peak or hitting a ceiling or,
Yeah.
but they've, whatever they did to make them successful, they've stopped doing and they've started doing something else. And that's why for me, I've gotten a lot of coaching and over many years right at the beginning of the journey, but even now I've got mentors, I've got coaches, and I'm constantly reading ebooks or audio books or watching
Yeah.
videos, going to seminars, and especially Ceil, I don't know if you've noticed this in your field, but some people, especially in the coaching field, when they were a brand new coach and then they became quite a successful coach, the one thing that I see is they don't want to go to a seminar anymore and be a student. They want to be the person on stage. And unless they
Yes.
can get on the stage, they don't want to be there to learn anymore. They don't want to look like everyone else. I don't know if you've seen that, but that's
I
definitely
have.
something I have seen. And for me, there's nothing better than getting in the back of a seminar and being a fly on the wall and no one knowing you and just absorbing everything without any care about whoever's there and what they're looking at. So I don't know if you've come across that in your field.
Oh, I have. I've seen it with certain people, and I'm
Mhm.
like, wow, they really stop themselves from being able to learn more and have more realizations and more ahas and uncover more truths and more solutions, if you will, to challenges because they want to be the one on stage and they're not, they kind of close. It's a form of self sabotage if you look at it, and it's subtle. So, yes, I've seen that. And you know what surprised me, and I learned this early on with Alan, is when people start to break out of a level of production above the norm, that's success breakout, right? And then the
Mm.
next level they go to is they have that level of abundance.
Mm.
And so once they get to a level of abundance, basically they usually do two things. They either veer off, start doing something else, or they'll stop doing their successful actions,
Hmm.
or either they will take a vacation. I mean, it's a part of that. I know someone that got their income up to 40, never made that much money in their life, and took a month off. He never got his production back up that high. But they hit that level of success, and then it causes them to go back down to the level underneath there, which is produced, and they have to work to pay
Yeah.
the bills. And a lot of times they go get themselves in credit card debt, because then you have to work to handle that problems. But
Yeah.
that stuff doesn't turn on if you just stay in the comfort zone, mediocre, don't stick your neck out. Do you know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
But
I
if
see it a
you,
lot in salespeople in particular. Once they hit their targets, instead of going,
yeah,
hey, you hit it so easy, you could go over and above, they go and go away, take a holiday,
yeah,
and they basically jam their momentum. And then when they come
totally.
back, they might lose a bit, and then they're backwards again. They're gonna have to try and gain the momentum again and start making things move again. And it's really hard, and sometimes it discourages them. But I see
Yeah,
I see that in salespeople a lot. I see that in um, entrepreneurs a lot when they hit a certain target, and then it's like, okay, cool, I've done it, and then now they go and take the foot off the gas, and then all of a sudden they start rolling backwards. So yeah, I do notice that definitely.
so if you want to tell, if I could give you a couple of suggestions for your clients that do that, it's, Alan calls it success sabotage. So one of the things he says, when you hit that level of abundance, you can either veer off and sabotage yourself, or you can write down the things your successful actions, you increase your discipline, and you continue to do them so you can repeat them over and over and keep going. He calls it pour on the coals. So to get out of that fixed ceiling, you have to do twice as much.
Mm,
Twice as much. He calls it pour on the coals. I call it turn up the heat.
yeah.
And that breaks you out of that box, because those salespeople, they'll hit that ceiling, and then usually some form of sabotage, versus, like you said, turn up the heat, keep going.
Hmm.
You made your target. There's like 30 more days left in the year,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's what you do. You got to break that agreement to self-sabotage.
Mm,
And it triggers more there than in that yellow zone area. Why? Because that's mediocre. Let's stay in the box.
yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
So I
It's
hope
like
that
a
helps.
Yeah, it's like I guess if you were a boxer and you've knocked someone down, they're dizzy, and then you take a break and let them recover.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but people who are living in the I guess the day-to-day world, they tend to they don't even notice it. They do it, and I've seen some people do it again and again, and they just go up and then they come down, they go up and they come down. So yeah, I guess you gotta finish it off. You gotta KO, go for the win. So yeah, you gotta go twice as
Go.
hard, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's really good. What was that
Yeah.
thing? What? How did you call it again? What was it again?
Success sabotage
No,
and the formula.
the finishing it off bit. Double down, was it?
Oh yeah, pour on the coals. In other words, do twice as much. And my words are turn up the heat.
Turn up the
Turn up
heat.
that
Yeah.
heat.
So
Yes, turn
when
up the
someone
heat.
is succeeding and they've hit their highs, you gotta then turn it up double to
Yes,
get past
yeah.
that. Yeah. Okay.
That's what will break that lid off, and then you'll versus keep
Yeah.
bumping it and keep bumping it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I could talk to you forever. As you know, we've had some really long conversations. There's so many things to talk about. But just to finish off, is there anything that we haven't touched on or I haven't asked or covered that you may want to share some insights on?
Um, well, I think I need to. You told everyone that this is going to sound salesy, but I'm selling you on why you should buy this book. It's only $5.
Hmm.
And the reason why I'm going to sell you on it is
Can't
because
get a
it's got
coffee
8
for
processes.
$5 anymore. If anyone
Oh,
doesn't
I
buy this book for $5,
know.
you're gonna fail.
So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'm the co-author. Alan, I own the intellectual property that Alan wrote. So Alan's wrote probably 40 books, 200 courses. I have co-authored one book. And this came out in Spanish and English. And the reason why I want to share this with you is because there are 8 processes in here that I use in some of my one-on-one coaching sessions, and people pay me money for this.
Mm-hmm.
So this is available in the PDF version for
Hmm.
$5. You can also get it in paperback or hardback or on Audible. But the reason why I want to share this with you is because if you want to just taste of some of these processes without doing a whole big long course right now, then this would be a step for you because you got 8 processes in there and they're explained in detail on how to use it, why would you use them, and you can run it on yourself. You don't need to have a coaching appointment. And then you've got a taste and you can see, oh, this stuff works or it didn't work. If it didn't work, you better email me and let me know what happened so I can get on the email and or give you a call and tell you why or how to make sure you run it correctly, because this will improve whatever area of life interests you, whether it's your business, whether it's your numbers, whether it's your relationships, or whether it's just know yourself better and really tap into more of your own potential. So that would be it. And then so that's an easy, inexpensive first step.
Hmm.
But the biggest, most profound first step is the personal zones profile that I told you
Hmm.
about in the beginning, because it's a picture. If you're honest, when you answer those questions, it is a picture. You'll be like looking at your life, and then we will see what's working to your full potential. And if it's not, I'll ask you questions. You'll find out why. And then that releases basically some of that stuckness so you can move forward.
Mm. Yeah.
That's the best. That is
Well,
the biggest.
I love the title, The Fire Within. It's really very catchy. And if someone's willing to spend $8 on a Starbucks and not $5 on a book that will help them, they're doomed to fail. So, yeah, would love to put the link for the book as well. Is it on Amazon or just on your website?
So it's on Amazon, and it's also on Audible for a lot
Yep.
of people like Audible. And then you can also get it from our bookstore, which is www.knowledgeism. Let me spell it. It's knowledgeism.com.
Hmm.
And that is where the little $5 book is sold there. So
Perfect.
try it out. And I thank
Yeah.
you so much for wanting
Yeah.
to do this podcast. It was such an honor to spend time with you and all your people. And I hope that you all find one golden nugget that helps your life get more of what you want.
Yeah, it was really, really great to chat with you and dig into some of your thoughts and learn more. And yeah, appreciate your time. Thank you for jumping on this podcast.
Thank you so much.